Welcome, wisdom seekers. Today we journey deep into the essence of freedom, a kind of freedom that the world will never grant you, but one you can create for yourself. I'm not talking about the kind of freedom where you cast aside the opinions of others with a rebellious shrug. No, this is a more profound liberation, one that breaks invisible chains that we forge ourselves in the quiet recesses of our minds. This is the freedom from caring about what doesn't matter. Pause for a moment. Let that sink in. You've likely heard the advice before. Don't care what others think, or don't sweat the small stuff. But there is so much more to this principle. The Stoics, men like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, lived by a code that is as relevant today as it was centuries ago. This code taught them to direct their energy only toward the things within their control, and to let go of everything else. Today, we'll explore this code in depth, not in a shallow or fleeting way, but in a manner that will shift your thinking and transform your approach to life. Because if you care about the wrong things, if you care about the opinions of people who do not matter, the worries that add nothing to your existence, or the superficial desires that blind you from what truly matters, you will spend your entire life chained to a false idea of success, happiness, and purpose. And we, wisdom seekers, are here to avoid that fate. So, let's begin. Let's unravel the truth that will make you not just indifferent to the noise around you, but completely free from it. Wisdom seekers, your support means everything. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and consider using the thank you feature to make a donation. Every like, subscribe, and donation helps us continue our mission of sharing knowledge. Ready to unlock more wisdom? Let's get started. Lesson 1. The Art of Detachment. Attach yourself to what is in your control, and detach yourself from everything else. Epictetus. Let's start by acknowledging the simple yet profound reality that most of what happens in life is beyond your control. Yet, for some reason, we torment ourselves over these uncontrollable elements. The traffic on your commute, the actions of a rude coworker, the weather that ruins your plans, or even more personal matters, the approval of friends or strangers, or the affection of someone whose heart you cannot command. These are elements outside the realm of your power, and therefore, as the Stoics would say, they are irrelevant. Detachment is not indifference, nor is it cold apathy. It is the recognition that your inner world is the only world you truly own. Your emotions, thoughts, and reactions are your domain. Everything else is external. You see, we were conditioned by society to believe that caring about everything, from every opinion to every trivial event, is a sign of emotional sensitivity or maturity. But what if I told you that caring less, strategically caring less, is the true mark of wisdom? It's not about being a rock, unfeeling and stoic in the worst sense of the word. It's about conserving your energy for what truly matters. Let's take Marcus Aurelius as an example. As the emperor of Rome, he was surrounded by constant noise, both literal and metaphorical. Advisors with different agendas, courtiers seeking favor, enemies plotting in shadows. But he did not waste his energy trying to please everyone or anticipate every possible outcome. Instead, he focused only on what he could influence directly. Writing in his meditations, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The art of detachment, then, is not a practice of running away from the world. It's about prioritizing. It's about understanding what deserves your emotional investment and what doesn't. Most people live their lives in the opposite manner, investing their emotional energy in things that don't matter at all. Wisdom seekers, to master the art of detachment, you must first embrace a hard truth. You cannot control the thoughts, actions, or opinions of others. Nor can you control the larger forces of the universe, the fate of nations, the roll of the dice, the whims of the weather. So why let these things dictate your mood, your happiness, your inner peace? Detachment isn't about rejecting the world. It's about rejecting the idea that the world owns you. It is this first lesson, detachment, that lays the foundation for every other lesson we will discuss. Without it, the following lessons will only be ideas, floating like wisps of smoke, unable to take root in your mind. But with detachment, you create space. You clear the fog. You open the door to true freedom. Lesson 2. The illusion of control. One of the most profound realizations you can have in life is that control is an illusion. Think about it for a moment. How much of your life has truly gone according to plan? Sure, there are moments where it feels like everything is under your command, where your actions seem to produce the exact results you want. But more often than not, life has a way of deviating from your expectations. Yet, we cling to the notion that we can control outcomes, that if we just try hard enough, if we plan meticulously enough, if we worry intensely enough, everything will go our way. This is not only false, but it's also the root cause of so much unnecessary suffering. The tighter we grip, the more frustrated we become when things inevitably slip through our fingers. The Stoics understood this well. They believed that the only things truly within our control are our thoughts, beliefs, and actions. Everything else, everything is outside of our dominion. This doesn't mean you should live passively, waiting for life to happen to you. On the contrary, it means you should live actively, focusing only on what is within your control and letting go of the rest. The moment you start focusing on what is in your power, your reaction, your attitude, your decisions, you will experience a profound sense of calm, because you will no longer be at the mercy of circumstances, outcomes, or other people. Take Seneca, for example. He wrote extensively on the unpredictability of fortune and the importance of preparing oneself mentally for whatever may come. In his famous letters, Seneca advises Lucilius, "He who has learned to die has unlearned to be a slave." He wasn't advocating for a morbid obsession with death, but rather for a mindset of release, releasing yourself from the fear of outcomes, even the most final outcome of all. For if you are no longer enslaved by the fear of death, what else is there to fear? What else is there to control? Now, let's bring this into our everyday lives. How many times have you found yourself anxious about a situation because you wanted to control its outcome? Maybe it was a job interview, a romantic relationship, or a personal project. You obsessed over every little detail, replaying scenarios in your head, trying to predict every possible outcome. But what happened? Did that anxious obsession help, or did it just drain you? The illusion of control is what leads to disappointment, frustration, and unnecessary anxiety. When you embrace the fact that you do not control outcomes, you become free. Free to act without attachment, free to do your best without clinging to the results, and free to live without the constant weight of trying to control everything around you. Remember, wisdom seekers, you are not the puppeteer pulling the strings of the universe. You are an actor on its stage, performing your role with grace, courage, and focus. But the final scene? The outcome? That's not yours to decide. Lesson 3. The power of indifference. Indifference is freedom. This is a lesson that sounds counterintuitive at first, but let's unpack it. What do I mean by indifference? It's not about being unfeeling or detached from reality. Rather, indifference in the Stoic sense is the ability to remain unaffected by external events and opinions, whether they are positive or negative. To practice indifference means you do not let your inner state be dictated by the external world. The promotion you've been working towards? If you get it, great. If you don't, fine. The praise of others? It's nice, but ultimately irrelevant. Criticism? If it's valid, learn from it. If it's not, discard it. Neither should disturb your peace. To master indifference is to become impenetrable to the whims of fortune. This is not to say you shouldn't care about your efforts or your goals. Of course you should. But care about the effort itself, the process, the striving, not the result. This is what the Stoics referred to as apatheia, not to be confused with apathy as we know it. Apatheia is the freedom from the passions, from being carried away by emotions that disrupt our clarity and focus. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this frequently, reflecting on how even the praise of others is ultimately fleeting, and how allowing yourself to be swayed by public opinion only leads to misery. Think about the last time you were deeply affected by someone else's opinion of you. Did it serve you? Or did it distract you from your path, from your goals, from your sense of purpose? Most of the time, our minds spiral into turmoil, not because of the event itself, but because of our attachment to external validation or fear of external judgment. By cultivating indifference, you rise above this. You become like the mountain, unmoved by the winds of fortune. Whether the winds bring praise or scorn, success or failure, joy or hardship, You remain steady, focused on what truly matters, your internal state, your sense of purpose, and your actions. Wisdom seekers, remember this. The opinions of others are not facts, nor are they reflections of your true worth. They are just fleeting thoughts in the minds of others. Why let those fleeting thoughts dictate your inner world? Why let them have power over your peace? The power of indifference is not a call to reject connection or empathy, but rather, it's a call to build an unshakable foundation within yourself, so that no matter what the world throws your way, you stand firm, free from the storms of external judgment or praise. Lesson 4. Choosing your circle wisely. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. This simple, profound advice comes from Seneca, and it holds a deep truth about the influence others have on us. While we should cultivate indifference to the opinions of the masses, we cannot ignore the fact that the people we allow into our lives, the friends, mentors, partners, have a significant impact on our thoughts, emotions, and overall well-being. Consider for a moment the people you surround yourself with. Are they helping you grow? Are they challenging you to be better, wiser, and more grounded? Or are they pulling you into unnecessary drama, distracting you from your goals and feeding your insecurities? You see, wisdom seekers, one of the greatest acts of self-care is choosing your circle wisely. The Stoics understood this deeply. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on the importance of surrounding oneself with virtuous individuals. For it is in the company of those who are wise, disciplined, and grounded that we ourselves grow wiser, more disciplined, and more grounded. It's not about cutting people off coldly or arrogantly. It's about being discerning. The energy you allow into your life, the conversations you engage in, the values you absorb, all of these shape your inner world. You cannot hope to remain indifferent to the noise of the world if you are constantly surrounded by people who generate that very noise. If you spend your time with those who are consumed by vanity, gossip, or superficial pursuits, you will find yourself dragged into those very concerns. But if you surround yourself with people who value growth, wisdom, and resilience, you will rise to meet those values yourself. This lesson is not just about avoiding toxic people. It's about seeking out those who push you to be the best version of yourself. People who will challenge you, inspire you, and hold you accountable to your higher self. This is the true purpose of friendship according to the Stoics, to help one another become better, more virtuous individuals. Seneca himself described friendship as a mutual improvement society. Friendship, in this sense, is not merely a source of comfort or companionship. It's a source of growth where both parties are committed to helping each other improve. So, wisdom seekers, take a moment to reflect on your relationships. Are they helping you stay true to your values, or are they pulling you into the distractions and chaos of the world? Choose your circle wisely, for the company you keep will either anchor you in your purpose or drift you away from it. This does not mean you should ignore the lessons of the past or avoid planning for the future, but those things should be done consciously, intentionally, and only when necessary. Once you have learned from your past or made reasonable plans for the future, return to the present. Let go of the past's grip on your mind and release your anxious hold on the future. When you truly embrace the present, you will find a calmness, a clarity that allows you to handle life's challenges with more grace. You will no longer be paralyzed by fear or regret. Instead, you will act decisively, wisely, and with a sense of inner peace that comes from knowing you are fully present in your own life. Lesson 5. Embrace the present moment. If there is one truth that the Stoics emphasized above all, it is this: the present moment is all we have. Past and future are abstractions, mere thoughts in our minds. And yet, how much of our time do we spend either dwelling on the past or worrying about the future? Consider this. You're walking down a path, and instead of paying attention to the beauty around you, the sunlight filtering through the trees, or the sound of the wind, your mind is consumed with regrets about yesterday's conversation or anxiety about tomorrow's meeting. In doing so, you've missed the only moment that actually exists, this one. Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher emperor, often reminded himself to confine yourself to the present. Why? Because the present moment is the only place where life happens. The past is gone, irretrievable, immutable. No matter how much you dwell on it, regret it, or wish it were different. The past is out of your hands. The future is equally elusive, unknown, unpredictable, and beyond your control. Yet we spend most of our lives either replaying the past or rehearsing for the future, completely ignoring the now, the only thing that actually belongs to us. Epictetus taught that the root of our anxiety lies in this very detachment from the present. We fear what is to come, or we feel guilt over what has already passed, but in doing so, we forget to live. The only thing that is truly real, the present moment, slips through our fingers like sand. Wisdom seekers, the ability to focus solely on the present moment is one of the most powerful tools you can master. Why? Because in the present, you have agency. You can act, think, feel, and make choices. The present is where your power lies. Everything else, the past and the future, are mere shadows, illusions that we mistakenly give power over our minds and emotions. The practice of being present, mindfulness as it's often called today, is not just about being calm or centered. It's about reclaiming your life from the endless cycles of worry and regret. Marcus Aurelius spoke often of the brevity of life, reminding himself and others that our time on this earth is fleeting. It is not death that a man should fear, he wrote, but he should fear never beginning to live. To truly live, wisdom seekers, is to be here, now. It is to stop dwelling on what cannot be changed and to stop fearing what cannot be known. The present moment is the stage on which your life unfolds, and the more you stay rooted in it, the more fully you live. Lesson 6. Stop seeking validation. In a world obsessed with social media, likes, followers, and external approval, this lesson is more relevant than ever. One of the greatest sources of anxiety in modern life is our need for validation, from friends, family, coworkers, or even strangers. We've been conditioned to believe that our worth is determined by how others perceive us, how many compliments we receive, or how many people praise our efforts. But wisdom seekers, let me share a truth that the Stoics understood centuries ago. Validation from others is a trap. It is a prison that keeps you shackled to the opinions and judgments of those around you. As long as you seek validation from others, you are giving them power over you. Power over your emotions, your self-worth, and ultimately, your happiness. The Stoics knew this well. Epictetus, in particular, spoke of the futility of seeking approval from others. He taught that we should live according to our own values and principles, not in pursuit of external validation. If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. This might sound harsh, but it captures an important truth. To truly grow, you must stop caring about what others think of you. Why do we seek validation? At its core, it's because we want to feel good about ourselves. We want confirmation that we are doing the right thing, that we are valued, that we are worthy. But here's the paradox. The more you seek validation, the more insecure you become. Because no amount of external approval will ever be enough to fill the void within you. It's a fleeting satisfaction, one that disappears as quickly as it comes. Seneca wrote extensively about the dangers of relying on others for a sense of self-worth. He warned that living for the approval of others is like living in chains, constantly enslaved to the fickle opinions of the masses. People's opinions are not based on truth or wisdom. They are often shallow, biased, and subject to change at a moment's notice. Why would you base your happiness on something so unstable? To break free from this cycle, you must cultivate inner validation, a sense of worth and purpose that comes from within. This doesn't mean you should ignore feedback or become arrogant, but it does mean that your self-worth should not be dependent on what others think of you. Instead, it should come from knowing that you are living according to your own values and principles. Wisdom seekers, the more you rely on external validation, the more power you give away. Take back that power. Stop caring about the opinions of others and start living for yourself. When you no longer seek approval from the outside world, you will find a deep sense of peace and freedom within. Lesson 7. The wisdom of accepting imperfection. In our relentless pursuit of perfection, we often forget a simple truth. Imperfection is inevitable. Whether it's in our careers, relationships, or personal growth, we tend to hold ourselves to impossibly high standards, believing that we must be flawless to be worthy, successful, or happy. But perfection, as the Stoics understood, is an illusion. It is a false ideal that sets us up for failure and disappointment. The Stoics believe that life is full of imperfections, and that rather than resist them, we should learn to accept them. This is what Epictetus meant when he said, "Don't demand that things happen as you wish, but wish that they happen as they do, and you will go on well." In other words, the key to peace and happiness is not in achieving perfection, but in accepting the imperfections of life, both in ourselves and in the world around us. Marcus Aurelius, who was no stranger to the pressures of perfection as an emperor, often wrote about the importance of accepting his own flaws and limitations. He knew that striving for an unattainable ideal would only lead to frustration and discontent. Instead, he focused on doing his best, while accepting that mistakes and setbacks were a natural part of life. This lesson is especially important for those of us who are driven, ambitious, and constantly seeking self-improvement. It's easy to fall into the trap of perfectionism, believing that anything less than perfect is a failure. But this mindset only sets you up for stress, anxiety, and dissatisfaction. When you demand perfection from yourself, you are bound to be disappointed, because perfection is not possible. The wisdom of accepting imperfection is not about lowering your standards or settling for mediocrity. It's about recognizing that flaws and mistakes are part of the human experience. They do not diminish your worth or your potential. In fact, it is through our imperfections that we learn, grow, and become stronger. Think of the Japanese art of kintsugi, where broken pottery is repaired with gold, making the cracks and flaws an integral part of the object's beauty. This philosophy teaches us that imperfection is not something to be hidden or ashamed of, but something to be embraced and celebrated. Wisdom seekers, accept that you will make mistakes. Accept that life will not always go according to plan. Accept that you are imperfect, and so is everyone else. In doing so, you free yourself from the unrealistic expectations that lead to unnecessary suffering. You become more compassionate towards yourself and others, and you open yourself up to the beauty of the imperfect, ever-changing journey of life. Lesson 8. The value of silence. In a world that never stops talking, silence has become a rare and precious commodity. We are constantly bombarded with noise, literal noise from our environment, and figurative noise from the endless stream of information, opinions, and distractions that fill our lives. But in this chaos, we often forget the profound value of silence. The Stoics understood that silence is not just the absence of noise, but a powerful tool for reflection, self-awareness, and growth. Silence allows us to hear our own thoughts, to connect with our inner selves, and to gain clarity about our lives and our purpose. Epictetus often spoke about the importance of controlling our speech and knowing when to be silent. He advised, "We have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak." This is not just a practical suggestion, but a philosophical one. Silence allows us to observe, to listen, and to understand the world more deeply. It is in silence that we find wisdom. Marcus Aurelius, too, valued silence and solitude as essential components of a meaningful life. In his meditations, he often reflected on the need to retreat into oneself, to seek quiet in the midst of the noise and chaos of the world. He understood that it is in these moments of silence that we can reconnect with our true selves and with the greater order of the universe. Wisdom seekers, in the constant noise of modern life, silence is an act of rebellion. It is a conscious choice to step away from the distractions, the opinions, and the noise, and to listen to the quiet voice within. Silence is where you find clarity. Silence is where you find peace. And silence is where you find yourself. Make time for silence in your life, whether it's through meditation, a quiet walk in nature, or simply sitting in stillness. Allow yourself the space to disconnect from the noise and reconnect with your inner world. In silence, you will discover the truths that are often drowned out by the constant chatter of the world. Lesson 9. The art of letting go. One of the hardest lessons to learn in life is the art of letting go. Whether it's letting go of a relationship, a dream, a failure, or even a version of yourself that no longer serves you, the process of letting go can be painful. But it is also essential for growth and peace. The Stoics believe that much of our suffering comes from our attachment to things that are outside of our control. We cling to people, to outcomes, to material possessions, believing that they are necessary for our happiness. But as Epictetus taught, you are not in control of what happens to you, but you are in control of how you respond. This means that the key to peace is not in holding on, but in letting go. Letting go of the need to control outcomes. Letting go of the past. Letting go of the idea that your worth is tied to external circumstances. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to receive without pride, let go without attachment. This simple yet profound wisdom speaks to the heart of Stoic philosophy. Life is constantly changing. People come and go. Successes and failures are fleeting. Clinging to any of these things only causes suffering. To let go is not to give up or to stop caring. It is to release your attachment to things that are beyond your control, and to focus instead on what you can control: your thoughts, your actions, and your character. When you let go of the need for external validation, the fear of failure, or the desire for things to be different than they are, you free yourself from the chains of anxiety and discontent. Wisdom seekers, learning to let go is one of the most liberating things you can do for yourself. It is a powerful act of self-compassion, a way of honoring the impermanence of life and embracing the flow of change. When you let go, you make space for new opportunities, new growth, and new possibilities. Lesson 10. The power of resilience. The final lesson, wisdom seekers, is one of the most important: the power of resilience. Life is full of challenges, setbacks, and hardships. No matter how much we prepare or plan, there will always be difficulties that we cannot foresee or control. But the Stoics taught that our true power lies not in avoiding these challenges, but in how we respond to them. Resilience is the ability to adapt, to persevere, and to rise above adversity. It is the strength to keep going when life gets hard, to remain calm in the face of chaos, and to maintain your sense of purpose, even when the world seems to be against you. The Stoics often spoke of the importance of resilience, or as they called it, fortitude. Epictetus reminded his students that difficulties are things that show a person what they are. In other words, it is through adversity that we discover our true strength. Marcus Aurelius, too, embodied resilience throughout his life. As a Roman emperor, he faced war, plague, political unrest, and personal loss. But through it all, he remained steadfast in his Stoic principles, reminding himself that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This powerful mindset is the essence of resilience, the ability to see obstacles not as barriers, but as opportunities for growth. Resilience does not mean that you will never feel pain, sadness, or frustration. It means that you will not be defeated by these emotions. You will experience them, acknowledge them, and then rise above them. You will continue to move forward no matter what. Wisdom seekers, the power of resilience lies within each of you. It is not something you are born with, but something you cultivate through practice, through adversity, and through a commitment to your own growth. When you develop resilience, you become unbreakable. No matter what life throws your way, you will find a way to overcome it. As we come to the end of these 10 lessons, I want you to remember that the journey of not caring is not about apathy or detachment. It is about freeing yourself from the unnecessary burdens of the world. Other people's opinions, external validation, perfectionism, and fear. It is about reclaiming your power, your peace, and your purpose. These lessons, drawn from the wisdom of the Stoics, are not just abstract ideas. They are practical tools that you can apply to your everyday life. By mastering the art of indifference to what does not serve you, you create space for what truly matters: your growth, your values, and your inner peace. So wisdom seekers, as you go about your lives, remember, you are in control of your own mind. You are in control of your own destiny, and the power to live a life free from unnecessary worry, fear, and distraction is within your grasp. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Stay strong, stay wise, and remember, the power of not caring is the key to true freedom. Until next time, wisdom seekers.